The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council fell silent as Commander Primus Vexthor stepped forward. His tall figure cast shadows across the marble floor. Representatives from 40 different species watched him with careful eyes. Some looked nervous, others seemed curious. But all of them knew that when the Krillian Empire called a meeting, it meant something serious was about to happen. Vexthor's voice echoed through the chamber. The Krillian Empire has maintained peace in this galaxy for 3,000 years. We have protected trade routes. We have stopped wars before they started. We have given order to chaos. The assembled diplomats nodded. It was true. The Krillian Empire controlled almost half of all known space. Their military was the strongest anyone had ever seen. No one dared to challenge them openly. But now, Vexthor continued, his voice growing harder, a new species threatens this peace. Humanity has expanded into territories that belong to the Empire by ancient right. They have built colonies where they have no permission to be. They ignore our warnings and continue to spread like a disease. Ambassador Kelthar of the Viridian Council shifted in his seat. The Viridians were scholars and scientists, not warriors. They had known humans for 80 years now. Kelthar had always found them to be reasonable and peaceful, but he said nothing. Speaking against the Empire was dangerous. Therefore, Vexthor announced, the Krillian Empire issues this ultimatum to humanity. They have 72 hours to remove all their ships and people from the Outer Reach territories. If they refuse, we will remove them ourselves, completely. Permanently. The chamber erupted in whispered conversations. Tal Ren, the representative of the Talkari merchant guilds, looked worried. His people did good business with the humans. The Dreshka warrior delegate, Cormac, seemed impressed by the bold declaration, but no one spoke up to defend humanity. Far away from Zenthar Prime, Admiral Park Min-jae stood on the bridge of the UHNS Indomitable. She was a small woman with sharp eyes and gray hair pulled back tight. She had fought in 3 wars on Earth before humanity reached the stars. Now she commanded a fleet of 47 ships facing down 300 Krillian warships. The communication officer turned to her. Admiral, the Empire's message is being broadcast on all channels. They want everyone to see it. Park nodded slowly. She had expected this. The Krillians always made their threats public. It was part of their strategy. Show overwhelming force, make the enemy feel small and alone, break their will before the first shot is fired. Get me Captain Choi, Commander Lee, and Dr. Kim, Park said quietly. Conference room, 10 minutes. Captain Choi Sung-ho arrived first. He was young for a captain, only 35, but he had proven himself smart and brave. Commander Lee Ji-woo came next, her tactical mind already working on impossible problems. Last was Dr. Kim Hana, the civilian liaison. She represented the 2 million colonists living on 5 worlds in the Outer Reach. Park pulled up a star map. Red dots showed Krillian ships. Blue dots showed human positions. The math was simple and terrible. We cannot win a direct fight, Park said. No one disagreed. We can evacuate, but not everyone. Not in 72 hours. Maybe we save 500,000 people if we start now. Dr. Kim's hands clenched into fists. These are families, children, people who left Earth to build something new. We promised them they would be safe. I know, Park said softly, but we have to face reality. Captain Choi studied the map. What if we scatter the fleet, make them chase us, buy more time for evacuations? Commander Lee shook her head. They would just destroy the colonies first, make an example, then hunt down our ships at their leisure. Silence filled the room. Outside the window, stars burned cold and distant. Somewhere out there, the Krillian armada was moving into position. Dr. Kim spoke up, her voice hesitant. What if there is a third option? Park looked at her. Explain. The Krillians use fear as a weapon, Dr. Kim said. They threaten us because they think we have only two choices, fight or run. But what if we change the situation completely? What if we give them something to fear? Choi frowned. We have nothing they fear. They have better weapons, more ships, more of everything. Do we? Dr. Kim asked. She pulled up her own display. In the last 80 years, humanity has shared some technology with other species, medical advances, agricultural methods, but we have kept our best innovations classified. The Krillians know this. They have tried to spy on our research stations many times. Lee leaned forward, interested now. You want to threaten them with technology? That seems weak. They can just take it after they destroy us. Not if we make it impossible to take, Dr. Kim said. What if destroying us means spreading our technology everywhere? To their enemies, to their rivals, to every species that might challenge their power? Park sat very still. Her mind was racing through possibilities. It was dangerous. It was unprecedented. But it might be the only move they had left. We would need to convince them we can actually do it, Park said slowly. We can, Dr. Kim replied. Every colony, every ship, every station has quantum-linked communication systems. If we die, the archives broadcast automatically. There is no way to stop it. Captain Choi whistled softly. That would change everything. The balance of power across the entire galaxy would shift. Commander Lee looked uncertain. But do we actually have technology that would matter that much? Enough to scare the Empire? Park smiled grimly. Does it matter? If they believe we do, that is enough. And they have tried so hard to steal our secrets. They must think those secrets are valuable. Dr. Kim nodded. The Krillians built their empire on being stronger than everyone else. If we make everyone else stronger, their empire falls apart. Not from war, just from losing their advantage. It is a bluff, Choi said. Maybe, Park agreed. Or maybe it is real. We have had 80 years to prepare. Earth learned hard lessons about war. We built weapons we swore never to use again. Technologies we locked away. The galaxy does not know what we are capable of because we chose not to show them. Lee stood up. If we do this, we need to be ready for them to call our bluff. They might attack anyway. Then we were dead already, Park said. At least this way. We give the galaxy something to remember us by, and we give the Krillians a reason to hesitate. The Admiral walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere among them were families eating dinner, children playing, people living ordinary lives. They had come to the outer reach to build homes, not to fight wars. But war had found them anyway. Dr. Kim, Park said, start preparing the archive systems. Make sure every ship and colony is linked. If we die, the broadcast goes out automatically. No stops, no delays. Commander Lee, calculate firing solutions for every Krillian ship. If they attack, we make them pay for every meter of space. Captain Choi, prepare a message drone. I am going to record a broadcast, and I want every species in the galaxy to hear it. She turned back to face them. Her officers looked worried but determined. They understood what was at stake. We have 72 hours, Park said. Let us make sure the Empire understands that destroying humanity will be the biggest mistake they ever made. The three officers saluted and left to carry out their orders. Park stood alone on the bridge, watching the stars. She had one chance to say the right words. One chance to change the minds of an empire that had crushed opposition for 3,000 years. She walked to the recording station and sat down. The whole galaxy was watching, waiting to see if humanity would beg for mercy or make empty threats. Admiral Park Min-jae was about to show them something entirely different. The broadcast began at exactly the same moment across every inhabited world in the galaxy. On screens in markets and government buildings, in ships traveling between stars, in homes where families gathered for evening meals, Admiral Park Min-jae's face appeared. She wore her uniform, but no decorations. Her expression was calm, almost gentle. She looked like someone's grandmother about to share an important story. "My name is Admiral Park Min-jae, of the United Human Naval Service," she began. "By now, you have all heard the Krillian Empire's ultimatum. They have given humanity 72 hours to abandon our homes in the Outer Reach. They threaten to destroy us if we refuse." On Zenthar Prime, Commander Primus Vex Thor watched the broadcast with growing anger. How dare these humans address the galaxy as if they had any right to be heard? He reached for the communication controls to jam the signal, but High Strategist Krelnak stopped him. "Let her speak," Krelnak said quietly. "We need to know what they will say." Park continued. "I want to be clear about our situation. The Krillian Empire has 300 warships. We have 47. Their weapons are more powerful. Their shields are stronger. In a direct fight, they would destroy us completely. This is not propaganda. This is simple mathematics." Across the galaxy, species watched with mixed feelings. Some felt pity for the humans. Others felt contempt for their weakness. The Talkari merchant Talren shook his head sadly. He had hoped humanity might find a way out. But this sounded like the beginning of a surrender speech. "The Empire believes we have two choices," Park said. "We can fight and die, or we can run and abandon everything we have built. But there is a third option they have not considered, and it is the option we choose today." Now she had everyone's attention. Even Vex Thor leaned forward slightly. "On Earth, humanity fought terrible wars," Park explained. Her voice remained steady and calm. "We killed each other with weapons that could destroy entire cities in seconds. We poisoned our own world. We came very close to making ourselves extinct. But we learned from these mistakes. We learned that the strongest weapon is not the one that destroys your enemy. The strongest weapon is the one that makes your enemy afraid to attack you at all." She paused, letting her words sink in. Every human colony, every human ship, every human station has quantum-linked archives. These archives contain our complete scientific and cultural knowledge. Everything we have learned in 80 years of space travel, all our medical advances, our agricultural techniques, our energy systems, and yes, our weapons research. Ambassador Kelthar of the Viridian Council felt his hearts beat faster. He understood where this was going. "These archives are programmed to activate if humanity is destroyed," Park said simply. "If the Krillian Empire wipes us out, our knowledge will broadcast automatically to every species in the galaxy. All of it. Free. Unrestricted. The Dreshka will receive it. The Talkari will receive it. The Viridians will receive it. Every single species that the Empire has ever conquered or controlled will receive it." The silence across the galaxy was complete. No one moved. No one spoke. They were all trying to understand what this meant. "We will not give you our innovations through cooperation if you choose to end us," Park continued. "But if we die, everyone gets them for free, including the Empire's enemies, including their rivals, including every species that might want to challenge their power." On the bridge of the Indomitable, Captain Choi watched the reactions coming in from monitoring stations. The communication channels were exploding with activity. Every government, every military, every merchant guild was suddenly talking at once. Commander Lee looked at Dr. Kim. "Did we really prepare all this?" she whispered. Dr. Kim's expression gave nothing away. "The Admiral is very convincing, is she not?" Back on the broadcast, Park's tone became almost friendly. "The Krillian Empire maintains control through superior technology and force. That is their right. They built their power over 3,000 years. But imagine what happens if suddenly every species has access to human medical technology, human agriculture, human energy systems. Imagine if the species they conquered are suddenly healthier, wealthier, and better armed." High Strategist Krelnak felt a cold sensation in his chest. He turned to Vex Thor. "This is a strategic nightmare. If even half of what she claims is real, it is a bluff, Vexthor snapped. But he sounded less certain than before. We cannot know that, Krelnak replied. Our intelligence reports show that human colony ships carry massive computational systems and unusual quantum arrays. We thought they were for research, but what if they were for this? What if humanity has been preparing this insurance policy since they first left Earth? Park was still speaking. I want to be very clear. We do not want war. We do not want to die. We would much rather live in peace and share our knowledge gradually, carefully, with species who will use it wisely. We would prefer to be friends with the Krillian Empire and everyone else. She leaned forward slightly, her eyes seeming to look directly at each person watching. But if the Empire chooses to destroy us, they will not gain our technology. They will lose their advantage over everyone else. The balance of power in this galaxy will shift in ways no one can predict. So I ask Commander Primus Vexthor and the Krillian High Command, is removing human colonies from the outer reach worth destabilizing your entire empire? The broadcast ended. Park's face disappeared from screens across the galaxy. For several long moments, no one knew what to say. Then the chaos began. On the mining world of Farada 5, workers who had labored under Krillian control for generations started talking excitedly. Human technology could make their work easier, make their lives better. Some of them stopped working entirely, waiting to see what would happen. In the Talkari merchant guilds, calculations were running at incredible speed. If humanity's technology improved agricultural output by even 10%, the economic ripples would be enormous. If medical advances extended lifespans, consumer patterns would change completely. The merchants began drafting messages to human trade representatives. Among the Dreshka warriors, respect was growing. The humans could not win a fight, so they had changed the battlefield completely. They had turned their own destruction into a weapon. That took courage. Clan leader Throcknar ordered his communications officer to find a secure channel to the human fleet. The Viridian Council met in emergency session. Ambassador Kelthar argued passionately. We must request negotiations. Frame it as academic interest in knowledge sharing. Give the Krillians a way to step back without losing honor. On Zenthar Prime, the Imperial War Council was in full argument. Vexthor pounded his fist on the table. We must attack now. Show the galaxy that we do not bend to threats. But High Strategist Krelnak was studying reports. Our intelligence division confirms that human ships do have unusual communication systems. They have quantum-linked networks we cannot jam or intercept. If their archives are real, destroying them would trigger the broadcast. And if they are bluffing, Vexthor demanded. Then we risk nothing, another counselor said. But if they are telling the truth, we risk everything. Our control over subject species depends on our technological superiority. If that disappears, we would face rebellions on 100 worlds, Krelnak finished grimly. Even if we crush them, it would take decades and drain our resources. Other empires would take advantage. The Zelthrian Confederacy would push into our territory. The free colonies would declare independence. Vexthor looked around the council chamber. He saw uncertainty on faces that had always shown confidence before. Humanity's message had done what no military force could do. It had made the mighty Krillian Empire afraid. How long until the deadline? He asked quietly. 68 hours, someone replied. We need more information, Vexthor said finally. Find out if this threat is real. Find out what technology they actually have. And find out if there is any way to disable their archives before we attack. But everyone in the room knew the truth. The 72-hour deadline was supposed to pressure humanity. Now it was pressuring the Empire. Every hour they did not attack. They looked weaker. Every hour they hesitated. Other species noticed. Aboard the Indomitable, Admiral Park allowed herself a small smile. The message was delivered. Now came the hardest part, waiting to see if the Empire believed her. Captain Choi approached her. "Admiral, we are receiving communication requests from 40 different species. The Viridians want to mediate. The Talkari are offering trade deals. Even a Dreshka clan leader wants to talk." "And the Krillians?" Park asked. "Nothing official, but our sensors show their fleet has stopped moving forward. They are holding position." Park nodded slowly. It was working. Maybe. The Empire had not surrendered, but they had not attacked either. They were thinking, calculating, worrying. "Keep monitoring," Park ordered, "and prepare our people. The Empire might still attack, but now they know that destroying us comes with a price." She looked out at the stars again. The gamble was made. Humanity had played their card. Now they would find out if the Krillian Empire valued their power more than their pride. The Imperial War Council chamber on Zenthar Prime had never been so divided. For 3,000 years, decisions had been simple and unanimous. Now, senior commanders argued with each other while Commander Primus Vexthor watched with growing frustration. "We must attack immediately," insisted Battle Commander Zrexkal. "Every hour we wait makes us look weak. Our subject species are watching. If we back down from humans, others will challenge us too." High Strategist Krelnak shook his head. "Our intelligence reports are concerning. Human colony ships included massive power cores and computational systems far beyond what is needed for civilian purposes. They claimed it was for scientific research. Now we know it might have been for these archives they threaten us with." "Might have been," Vexthor repeated. "You are not certain." "No," Krelnak admitted. "But uncertainty itself is a weapon. If we attack and humanity's threat is real, we face immediate strategic collapse. Our rivals gain technology in hours that would take them centuries to develop." Junior Counselor Threxall, who rarely spoke in council meetings, raised his voice hesitantly. "What if humanity is simply telling the truth? What if they do have advanced technology and they are willing to share it only if we let them live in peace?" The chamber fell silent. Vexthor stared at Threxall. "You dare suggest we negotiate with them as equals?" "I suggest we think carefully before acting," Threxall replied, his voice stronger now. "The humans have not fired a single shot. They have not threatened our worlds or our citizens. They built colonies in empty space and asked nothing from us. We are the ones who demanded they leave. Perhaps we were wrong." Vexthor's face darkened with rage, but before he could respond, an aide rushed in. "Commander Primus, urgent reports from the frontier sectors. Production has slowed in 17 mining colonies. Workers are requesting information about human technology. Some are refusing to work until the situation is resolved." Krelnak leaned back in his chair. "It begins. Our control depends on keeping subject species dependent and weak. If they believe human technology can free them from that dependency..." On the mining world of Ferrata 5, Shift Supervisor Coleman tried to restore order in the extraction facilities. The workers, members of the Pelthron species, had always been obedient. Now they gathered in groups, talking instead of working. "Return to your stations," Coleman ordered. "This does not concern you." A Pelthron miner named Velkos stepped forward. "Does not concern us? The humans have technology that could make our work safer, medical advances that could heal our injuries. Why do we break our backs when there are better ways?" "The Empire provides for you," Coleman said. "You have food, shelter, purpose." "The Empire uses us," another miner said. "But maybe we do not have to be used anymore. Maybe the humans would share with us what the Empire keeps for itself." Coleman reported the situation to his superiors. Similar reports came from dozens of worlds. The Krillian Empire's grip on its territories was loosening, not because of military force, but because of hope. The hope that something better was possible. In the merchant halls of the Talkari homeworld, calculations were being made. Talren stood before the Grand Council of Guilds, presenting his analysis. If we maintain current trade relationships with the Krillian Empire and humanity is destroyed, we gain nothing, he explained. But if humanity survives and shares technology, we gain access to innovations that could increase our profits by 30 to 40%. The economic logic is clear. Guildmaster Peltara nodded thoughtfully. But if we support humanity and the Empire destroys them anyway, we face Krillian anger. The Empire is already angry, Talren pointed out. They are angry at everyone right now because their ultimatum failed. They expected fear and got defiance. I say we contact the humans now before the situation resolves. Establish relationships. Show good faith. If humanity survives this, they will remember who stood with them. The Guild Council voted. The decision was not unanimous, but it was clear. The Talkari would reach out to humanity with offers of trade and support. On the human colony world of New Jeju, Dr. Kim Hana was organizing a different kind of response. She gathered civilians in the central square and explained her plan. The galaxy is watching us, she said. They are trying to decide if we are worth saving. So let us show them who we are. Not as statistics or threats, but as people. She set up broadcasting stations across the colony. Volunteers came forward to record messages. A teacher named Yoon Seo-jun shared a lesson about Earth's history, about how humanity almost destroyed itself and chose a different path. He spoke simply and honestly, and his students from 3 different alien species sat beside him, listening. A farmer named Han Dae-hyun demonstrated sustainable agriculture techniques he had developed for New Jeju's soil. Food should be abundant, he said to the camera. No one should go hungry when the knowledge to feed everyone exists. If you want to learn these methods, I will teach you. Freely. That is what humans believe. An artist named Song Mina showed paintings she had made of the colony. Families working together, children playing in parks, elderly people sitting in gardens. This is what you would destroy, she said quietly. Not military targets, not strategic assets, just people trying to live peaceful lives. Dr. Kim made sure these messages reached every corner of the galaxy. They were not dramatic or threatening, they were simply human. And that made them powerful in a way that weapons could never be. The Viridian Council moved quickly. Ambassador Kelthar drafted a formal request for negotiations and presented it to both humanity and the Krillian Empire. The Viridian people have always valued knowledge above all else, the message read. We are deeply interested in humanity's offer to share their scientific advances. We formally request that all parties meet to discuss peaceful resolution of this conflict. We offer our world as neutral ground for these discussions. It was carefully worded. The Viridians did not criticize the Empire. They simply expressed academic interest. But everyone understood the real meaning. One of the galaxy's most respected species was siding with humanity. The Dreshka response was more direct. Clan leader Throcknar sent a private message to Admiral Park using an encrypted channel. Human Admiral, the message began, the Dreshka are warriors. We respect strength. But true strength is not the ability to destroy an enemy. True strength is the wisdom to avoid unnecessary destruction. You showed wisdom. You showed courage. You turned certain death into a strategic advantage without firing a single weapon. The Dreshka clans will not interfere in this conflict, but know that we see you as worthy opponents. If the Empire is foolish enough to attack you, they will do so without Dreshka mercenaries to support them. It was not an alliance, but it was respect. And in galactic politics, respect mattered. Aboard the Indomitable, Captain Choi compiled reports for Admiral Park. The situation is shifting in our favor. 43 species have requested information about the Cooperative Development Initiative Dr. Kim mentioned in her interviews. The Talkari are offering trade agreements. The Viridians want to mediate. Even some Krillian subject species are sending messages of support. Commander Lee added, "But the Krillian fleet is still in position. They have not withdrawn. We are 48 hours into the 72-hour deadline." Park studied the tactical display. The red dots representing Krillian ships had not moved, but they had not advanced either. The Empire was paralyzed by indecision. "They cannot attack without risking everything," Park said thoughtfully. "But they cannot back down without looking weak. We need to give them a path to save face." Dr. Kim entered the bridge. She had been monitoring the civilian broadcasts. "Admiral, I think I have an idea. What if we offer the Empire something they can present as a victory?" "Explain," Park said. "The Empire's concern is legitimate in one sense," Dr. Kim said. "We did expand quickly into territory they consider theirs. What if we acknowledge that? What if we propose a framework where we accept limits on future expansion in exchange for recognition of our existing colonies? They can claim they forced us to accept restrictions. We can claim we secured our people's safety. Everyone wins." Captain Choi frowned. "Would the colonies accept limitations on growth?" "Better than being destroyed," Dr. Kim replied. "And once we are recognized as a legitimate power, those limitations can be renegotiated later. The important thing is surviving the next 24 hours. Park considered this. It was pragmatic. It gave the Empire an exit. But it also required the Empire to negotiate, which they had never done before with a species they viewed as inferior. "We need to add incentive," Park decided. "We offer the framework publicly through the Viridian Council, but we also add that humanity will begin the Cooperative Development Initiative immediately. We start sharing basic technologies with any species that wants them. Medical knowledge, agricultural techniques, nothing military, not yet, but enough to show we are serious about cooperation." Lee looked alarmed. "If we do that, we lose our leverage. The threat only works if the technology stays locked up." "No," Park said. "The threat works because humanity represents a better future. If we start proving that future is real, we become more valuable alive than dead. The Empire cannot stop information once it starts spreading. They can only decide whether they want to benefit from it or be left behind." Dr. Kim smiled. "It is risky, but it might work." Park turned to her communications officer. "Send the proposal to the Viridian Council, make it public, and start uploading the first technical archives to open networks. Medical data first, nothing that can be weaponized. Just things that save lives." The officer hesitated. "Admiral, once we release this information, we cannot take it back." "I know," Park said calmly. "That is the point. We stop threatening to share knowledge and start actually sharing it. Let the galaxy see what cooperation looks like. Let them see what they would lose if the Empire destroys us." The orders went out. Within hours, human medical databases began appearing on public networks. Doctors across dozens of species downloaded the information and started studying it. A Viridian physician used human techniques to save a patient dying from organ failure. The patient was a child. The news spread quickly. On Zenthar Prime, Vexthor watched reports of human knowledge spreading through the galaxy. He felt control slipping away like sand through his fingers. "They are doing it," he said quietly. "They are changing the galaxy, and we cannot stop them without making everything worse." Krelnak nodded. "The question now is whether we adapt to this change or fight against it." The deadline was approaching, and the Krillian Empire had to make a choice. The meeting room on Viridian Station Harmony was deliberately designed to put everyone at ease. Soft lighting, comfortable seating, and walls that showed peaceful gardens instead of the cold void of space. But no amount of careful design could hide the tension in the air. Admiral Park Minjae sat across the table from Commander Primus Vexthor. Between them were representatives from the Viridian Council, the Talkari guilds, and 3 smaller species who had requested to observe. The entire galaxy watched through live broadcasts. Vexthor spoke first, his voice formal and controlled. The Krillian Empire agrees to these negotiations as an act of mercy. We do this to prevent unnecessary bloodshed, not because we fear human threats. Park nodded calmly. We appreciate the Empire's willingness to talk. Humanity has never wanted conflict. We want only to live in peace and contribute to the galactic community. By illegally colonizing territory that belongs to the Empire, Vexthor said sharply. Territory that was empty when we arrived, Park countered. We surveyed the outer reach thoroughly. No settlements, no resource claims, no evidence of active use. Under galactic law, unclaimed territory can be settled. Ancient conquest grants permanent rights, Vexthor insisted. The Empire controlled these sectors 3,000 years ago. Ambassador Kelthar of the Viridian Council raised one delicate hand. Perhaps we can move beyond questions of whose claim is more valid. The reality is that humans now live in the outer reach. Families have built homes. Children have been born there. The question is not about historical rights, but about the future. How do we move forward in a way that respects everyone? Park leaned forward. The Empire's concerns are not without merit. Humanity did expand quickly, perhaps too quickly. We did not fully consider how our growth might alarm established powers. For that, I apologize. Vexthor looked surprised. An apology was not what he expected. Park continued. In the spirit of cooperation, humanity is willing to accept certain limitations. We propose a framework where we commit to a maximum of 2 new colony establishments per decade, subject to independent verification by the Viridian Council. We open our expansion plans to galactic review. We demonstrate that we are not a threat to anyone. In exchange? Vexthor asked suspiciously. In exchange, the Krillian Empire formally recognizes our existing colonies as legitimate sovereign territory. Humanity receives representation on the Galactic Council, and we begin the Cooperative Development Initiative. Dr. Kim Hana stood up, activating a display. The initiative works like this. Humanity shares specific technologies with all species equally. Medical advances, agricultural improvements, energy systems, educational methods. We provide the knowledge freely, administered through the Viridian Council to ensure fair distribution. Talrin of the Talkari spoke up enthusiastically. My people have already analyzed the medical data humanity released. It is genuine and valuable. One of our doctors used human techniques to save a child's life just yesterday. This is not a theoretical benefit. It is real. Vexthor's expression hardened. So humanity bribes the galaxy into supporting them? No, Park said firmly. Humanity offers partnership. We share what we have learned. Others share what they have learned. Everyone benefits. That is not bribery. That is civilization. And what does the Empire gain from this? Vexthor demanded. We already have power. We already have technology. Why should we agree to make our potential rivals stronger? Park met his eyes steadily. Because the alternative is worse. If you destroy us, the technology spreads anyway, but uncontrolled, no structure, no limits, no way for the Empire to influence how it is used. If you work with us, you help shape the initiative. You decide what is shared and when. You maintain influence instead of losing it. She paused, then added quietly. And because your subject species are already demanding access to this knowledge. You have reports of work, slowdowns, and protests. How long before slowdowns become rebellions? How much blood will you shed to maintain control through fear when you could maintain leadership through cooperation? The room fell silent. Everyone knew she was right. The galaxy had changed in the 72 hours since the ultimatum. The old order of power through force was cracking. Dr. Kim activated another display. To show good faith, humanity would like to demonstrate what cooperation looks like. She gestured to the doorway. A Viridian medical technician entered, supporting a small child. The child was thin and weak, her skin showing patterns of illness. "This is Sela," Dr. Kim explained gently. "She has a genetic disorder that is fatal in Viridian children. No cure exists in current Viridian medicine." The child's father, Ambassador Kelthar, stood up from his seat, his face showing deep emotion. He had not known his daughter would be part of this demonstration. Dr. Kim knelt beside Sela and showed her a small medical device. "This is a nanomedical injector. It uses technology humans developed to treat genetic disorders. With your father's permission, we would like to treat Sela right now, in front of everyone, to show that this is not about politics or power. It is about making life better." Kelthar looked at his daughter, then at Dr. Kim, then at the assembled representatives. "You can cure her?" "We believe so," Dr. Kim said honestly. "The treatment works on similar conditions in humans and in 3 other species we have tested. Viridian biology is compatible, but there are always risks with new treatments." Kelthar did not hesitate. "Do it." Dr. Kim administered the injection carefully. The room watched in absolute silence. Sela flinched slightly, then relaxed. Medical scanners showed the nanomachines spreading through her system, repairing damaged genetic sequences. "The process takes several hours," Dr. Kim explained, "but we should see improvement within minutes." They waited. Vexthor watched with carefully controlled expression. He understood the power of this moment. If the child recovered, humanity's value to the galaxy would become undeniable. 10 minutes passed. Sela's color began improving. Her breathing became easier. The medical scanners showed cellular repair happening faster than anyone expected. 20 minutes. Sela stood up on her own, without her father's support, for the first time in months. She smiled. Ambassador Kelthar swept his daughter into his arms, tears streaming down his face. "Thank you," he whispered to Dr. Kim. "Thank you." Park spoke into the silence that followed. "This is what humanity offers. Not weapons, not threats, just the ability to make life better for everyone. We have treatments for dozens of previously incurable conditions. We have agricultural techniques that can end famine. We have energy systems that are clean and sustainable. All of this, we share freely." She turned to Vexthor. "Commander Primus, I understand the Empire's position. You built your power over 3,000 years. You earned your place through strength and strategy. We are not asking you to give that up. We are asking you to evolve. Lead through cooperation instead of just force. Be the civilization that brought peace through wisdom, not just through weapons." Captain Choi Sung-ho spoke up from his position behind Park. "We also understand the Empire needs security. The military technologies that humanity has developed remain restricted. We propose that advanced weapons and defense systems are shared only with established powers who can use them responsibly. The Empire maintains its military edge, but everyone gets the technologies that improve life. That way," Commander Lee Ji-woo added, "the balance of power stays stable, but the quality of life across the galaxy improves. Everyone wins." Vexthor sat back in his chair. His tactical mind was working through the implications. If he agreed, the Empire would look weak to those who valued only strength. But if he refused, the Empire would lose influence as the galaxy moved forward without them. "I need to consult with my government," Vexthor said finally. "Of course," Park replied. "But we have already released basic medical and agricultural data. That cannot be taken back. The galaxy has it now. The question is not whether this change happens. The question is whether the Krillian Empire helps guide this change or gets left behind by it." Vexthor stood abruptly, and left the room with his aides. The negotiations paused while he contacted Zenthar Prime. In the privacy of a secured communication room, Vexthor spoke with High Strategist Krelnak and the Imperial Council. "They have outmaneuvered us completely," Vexthor admitted. "Not with weapons, but with strategy we did not anticipate. They made themselves more valuable alive than dead, and now they demonstrate that value in front of the entire galaxy." "The child's recovery was genuine?" Krelnak asked. "Yes, our medical experts confirmed it. Human technology just cured a disease our doctors have struggled with for generations." A long pause. Then Krelnak spoke carefully. "Commander Primus, sometimes victory means recognizing when the battlefield has changed. We can destroy humanity's ships, but we cannot destroy an idea whose time has come. Cooperation is spreading. If we fight it, we become the enemy of progress itself." "So we surrender?" Vexthor asked bitterly. "No," said Junior Counselor Threxall, surprising everyone by speaking up. "We lead. We accept humanity's proposal, but we shape it. We make sure the initiative respects the Empire's security needs. We position ourselves as the wise civilization that chose peace over pride. And we benefit from the technologies just like everyone else." Vexthor considered this. His pride rebelled against it. But his strategic mind recognized the truth. Humanity had won this confrontation without firing a shot. The only question now was how much damage the Empire would take by refusing to acknowledge it. "Draft the agreement," Vexthor said finally. "We recognize human sovereignty over their existing colonies. They accept expansion limits and oversight. The initiative moves forward with Empire participation, and military technologies remain restricted to established powers." "The galaxy will say we back down," someone warned. "Let them," Vexthor replied. "Better to be called cautious than foolish. The humans proved that destroying them would cost more than tolerating them. That is not weakness. That is calculation." He returned to the negotiation chamber. Admiral Park waited patiently, her expression neutral, but her eyes knowing. "The Krillian Empire accepts your proposal," Vexthor announced, "with conditions." Park smiled slightly. "Let us discuss those conditions. I suspect we can find terms everyone accepts." And so the negotiations began in earnest. Not a surrender, not a conquest, but something new, a true partnership between species who had learned to value cooperation over conflict. The signing ceremony took place 3 weeks after the first negotiations began. Representatives from every major species in the galaxy gathered on Viridian Prime to witness the Charter of Cooperative Sovereignty. The document was thousands of pages long, written in 17 different languages, but its core principles were simple enough for anyone to understand. Humanity gained formal recognition. The Krillian Empire maintained its military strength, but agreed to oversight on expansion. The Cooperative Development Initiative became official, administered by an independent council that included representatives from both established powers and smaller species. Most importantly, the charter established a new principle. Disputes would be resolved through negotiation and mutual benefit, not just through force. Admiral Park Min-jae stood at the signing table beside Commander Primus Vexthor. Cameras captured the moment when they both placed their marks on the document. Park signed with steady confidence. Vexthor signed with careful dignity, his expression revealing nothing. After the ceremony, Park found a quiet moment to speak with Vexthor privately. They stood on a balcony overlooking the Viridian capital city, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of purple and gold. "You never answered my question," Vexthor said quietly. "Did humanity really have all the technology you claimed? Were your archives truly ready to broadcast everything if we destroyed you?" Park smiled slightly. "Does it matter? The galaxy believed it was possible. That belief changed everything." "It matters to me," Vexthor insisted. I need to know if we were outmaneuvered by reality or by an exceptional bluff." Park looked at him thoughtfully. "Commander Primus, humanity spent 80 years in space preparing for this moment. We knew eventually we would encounter a power that could destroy us. So we asked ourselves, how do we survive when we are weak? The answer was simple. We make ourselves more valuable alive than dead. We offer something no one wants to lose." "That is not an answer," Vexthor said. "It is the only answer I can give," Park replied. "But consider this. We released medical technology that saved lives across dozens of species. We shared agricultural methods that are already increasing food production. These things are real. Whether we had weapons technology to share as well, you will never know for certain, and that uncertainty will always protect us." Vexthor made a sound that might have been a laugh. "You are a dangerous woman, Admiral. More dangerous than any warrior I have faced." "I am a grandmother who wants her grandchildren to grow up in a peaceful galaxy," Park said simply. "That is all. Everything else follows from that desire." They stood in companionable silence for a moment. Then Vexthor spoke again. "The Empire will adapt to this new reality. We have survived for 3,000 years because we know when to change course." "I hope so," Park said. "Because the galaxy needs the Empire's leadership, not through fear, but through wisdom. You have experience and knowledge that newer species like humanity lack. Cooperation should not mean the old powers fade away. It should mean everyone contributes what they do best." Vexthor nodded slowly and left the balcony. Park remained, watching the sunset and thinking about the future. 6 months later, the galaxy had transformed in ways both dramatic and subtle. On the human colony world of New Jeju, Dr. Kim Hana ran the headquarters of the Cooperative Development Initiative. The building was always busy with representatives from dozens of species coming to share knowledge and learn from others. She coordinated the distribution of medical technologies, agricultural techniques, educational programs, and energy systems. "We have received requests from 89 different species," her assistant reported. "Everyone wants access to the knowledge banks." Dr. Kim smiled. "Then we make sure they get what they need. That is why we are here." A Pelthran delegation from the mining world of Farada 5 arrived to learn about safety equipment and medical treatments for workers. Dr. Kim personally guided them through the database and helped them adapt the technologies to their specific needs. When they left, they carried not just technical specifications, but also gratitude and friendship. In orbit above New Jeju, Captain Choi Sung-ho commanded the UHNS Explorer, a new type of ship designed for joint missions. His crew included humans, Viridians, Talkari, and even 2 Dreshka warriors. They were mapping uncharted space together, sharing the work and the discoveries. "We have found 7 new habitable worlds in the last month," Choi reported to his crew. "According to the charter, we report these to the Galactic Council, and they are claimed through a fair selection process. No more territorial disputes. No more conflicts over resources." The Viridian science officer, Ralmeth, looked up from his instruments. "Captain, I am detecting unusual energy readings from the 4th planet in this system. Should we investigate?" "Absolutely," Choi replied. "That is why we are here, to explore together and share what we find." On Earth, Commander Lee Jiwoo had taken on a new role. She trained the 1st Integrated Defense Force, a military unit that mixed species and traditions. It was challenging work. Different species had different combat styles, different communication methods, different concepts of honor and duty, but slowly they learned to work together. A human soldier taught a Dreshka warrior about tactical patience. The Dreshka taught the human about courage in close combat. A Talkari navigator helped everyone understand supply logistics. A Krillian officer shared 3,000 years of strategic wisdom. "We are not building an army to conquer. Lee explained to her diverse recruits. "We are building a force to protect, to keep peace, to make sure that disputes never escalate to war. You are the future of galactic security." The students listened and learned. They came from species that had fought each other for centuries. Now they trained together, ate together, and became friends. On the colony world of New Jeju, teacher Yoon Seo-jun taught a class that included students from 12 different species. Human children sat beside Viridian youngsters, Talkari adolescents, and even a young Dreshka who wanted to learn about other cultures. "Today we study history," Yoon announced. "Not just human history, but the history of how species can choose cooperation over conflict." A small Viridian student raised her hand. It was Selah, Ambassador Kelthar's daughter, now fully healthy and energetic. "Teacher Yoon, my father says humanity changed the galaxy. How did you do it?" Yoon smiled gently. "We did not change the galaxy alone, Selah. We offered an idea, that working together makes everyone stronger. But other species had to choose to accept that idea. Your father chose it. The Talkari chose it. Even the Krillian Empire chose it. Humanity just showed that cooperation was possible. Everyone else made it real." A human boy spoke up. "But what if someone attacks us? What if a new empire rises that does not believe in cooperation?" "That is why we must always be prepared," Yoon replied. "Peace is not weakness. Peace is a choice we make every day. And we protect that choice, not with threats, but by showing that cooperation brings benefits that conflict never can." Admiral Park Min-jae, now officially humanity's representative to the Galactic Council, addressed the assembled species in the Great Chamber on Zenthar Prime. She had been invited to speak about the initiative's progress. 6 months ago, we faced a crisis that could have ended in war, Park began. Today, we have accomplished more together than any of us could have done alone. 17 deadly diseases have been cured or made treatable. Agricultural production has increased by an average of 23% across participating worlds. Clean energy has reduced pollution and conflict over resources. And perhaps most importantly, we have built friendships between species that barely spoke to each other before. She paused, looking around at the diverse assembly. "But our work is not finished. There are still species beyond our current borders who do not know what we have achieved here. There are still worlds suffering from poverty and disease that we could help. I propose that the Galactic Council authorize a joint mission to explore beyond our current territories, not to conquer, not to claim resources, but to offer the hand of friendship to whoever we find out there." The chamber erupted in discussion. Some representatives were enthusiastic, others were cautious. But slowly, a consensus emerged. The motion passed. 3 months later, the UHNS Harmony launched from the orbital shipyards above New Jeju. It was the largest ship ever built through cooperative effort. Humans designed the hull. Viridians provided the sensor arrays. Talkari contributed the navigation systems. Dreshka engineers reinforced the structural supports. Even Krillian shipwrights added their expertise to the weapon systems, because even a peaceful mission needed protection. Commander Lee Ji-woo, now promoted to captain, stood on the bridge as her diverse crew prepared for departure. The bridge crew included species that had been enemies just months before. Now they worked together seamlessly. "All stations report ready," her second officer announced. He was a Krillian named Velcor, who had volunteered for the mission because, as he put it, "Someone needs to make sure you idealists do not get yourselves killed." Lee smiled. "Thank you, Velcor. Your pessimism keeps us grounded." "Someone must," Velcor replied, but there was warmth in his voice. The Harmony detached from the station and turned toward unknown space. Behind them, the civilized galaxy watched and hoped. Ahead of them lay mysteries and possibilities. "We go to explore," Lee announced to her crew. "We go to discover." And we go to offer the same choice humanity offered the galaxy. Join us and become stronger together, or face the future alone. We do not force this choice. We simply make it available. She looked at the view screen showing the endless stars ahead. Helm, take us out. Let us see what is waiting out there. The Harmony jumped to faster-than-light speed and vanished into the unknown. Back on New Jeju, in the quiet garden outside her home, Admiral Park Min-jae sat with her granddaughter on her lap. The little girl pointed at the stars becoming visible in the evening sky. "Grandma, which star is where Captain Lee went?" Park pointed. "That direction, sweetheart, beyond what we can see from here." "Will she find new friends?" "I hope so," Park replied. "That is what we do now. We go out into the galaxy looking for friends, not enemies. We offer cooperation instead of threats. We share what we know and learn from what others know." "Is that why we are safe now? Because we have friends?" Park hugged her granddaughter close. "We are safe because we chose to make the galaxy a better place. And when you make things better for everyone, people want to protect what they have gained. That is the lesson humanity taught the Krillian Empire. That is the lesson we teach ourselves every day." She looked up at the stars, thinking about everything that had happened. The warning the Empire had issued, the message humanity had sent in return, the negotiations and the treaty, and the slow transformation of an entire civilization. It had started with 47 ships facing 300. It had started with certain death facing certain courage. And it had ended not with weapons or threats, but with the simple offer of a better future. That offer had changed everything. In the Krillian Imperial Palace on Zenthar Prime, Commander Primus Vexthor now held the title of High Counselor for Cooperative Security. It was a new position created by the Charter. His job was to ensure that the balance of power remained stable while the galaxy transformed. He stood in his office, looking at a display showing the Harmony's departure vector. His aide, Threxall, stood beside him. "Do you regret not destroying them when you had the chance?" Threxall asked. Vexthor considered the question carefully. "No. Humanity taught us something we had forgotten after 3,000 years of dominance. Power is not just about how much force you can apply. It is about creating conditions where force is not necessary. They defeated us without firing a shot. That is more impressive than any military victory. And if they had been bluffing, if they had no great technology to share, then they would have won through pure audacity and brilliant strategy," Vexthor replied. "That would be even more impressive. Either way, they earned their place in this galaxy." He turned away from the display. "Come, we have work to do. The initiative needs Empire support for the medical research project, and there are still species who resist cooperation. We must show them, as humanity showed us, that the future belongs to those who build together." Threxall smiled. Who would have thought? The mighty Krillian Empire. Learning lessons from humans who have only been in space for 80 years. "The best leaders," Vexthor said quietly, "are those who can learn from anyone, even from those we once considered beneath us." And so the galaxy moved forward. Not perfectly. Not without problems and disagreements and the occasional crisis, but fundamentally changed from what it had been before. The warning the Empire issued had been meant to intimidate. But humanity's response, that simple message offering cooperation instead of conflict, had altered the course of galactic civilization. The future would be built not by the strongest weapons or the most ships or the oldest empires. It would be built by species who learned to work together, who shared their knowledge, who understood that making everyone stronger did not make you weaker. That was the message that changed everything, and the galaxy would never be the same.